He never showed his face, he never left fingerprints, never used the same weapon twice, and never struck the same way again. But he wrote letters, dozens of them, mocking the police, taunting the media, threatening innocent civilians. He signed them all with a strange symbol, a circle with a cross through it, and a name that would go down in infamy, Zodiac. From 1968 to the early 1970s, the San Francisco Bay Area was gripped by terror. Couples murdered in parked cars, a taxi driver gunned down, a woman abducted and attacked, all seemingly unconnected, yet bound by the sinister cipher-ridden letters that landed in local newsrooms. The Zodiac Killer didn't just want to kill. He wanted attention. He wanted fame. And he got it. This is the story of one of the darkest chapters in American criminal history, a mystery that remains unsolved to this day. On December 20th, 1968, just days before Christmas, high school students Betty Lou Jensen and David Faraday decided to go out on a date. They parked along a remote stretch of Lake Herman Road in Benicia, California. It was supposed to be a peaceful night. What followed was anything but. A car pulled up beside them. The driver exited and approached the young couple. Without warning, David was shot. Betty Lou tried to flee, but she was struck multiple times. There were no witnesses. No fingerprints, no shell casings that led anywhere. Police were baffled. Who would harm two innocent teenagers in cold blood? The Zodiac hadn't yet named himself, but this was the beginning. Fast forward to July 4th, 1969. Another couple, Darlene Ferrin and Mike Mageau, were parked in a car at Blue Rock Springs Park in Vallejo. Just before midnight, a car pulled up. Moments later, the driver returned and opened fire with a 9mm pistol. Mike survived barely, Darlene did not. A calm, unidentified man phoned the Vallejo Police Department, admitting responsibility for the incidents at Lake Herman Road and Blue Rock Springs. He shared information only the real person behind the crimes would know. Soon after, letters began arriving at local newspapers. The writer demanded they be published on the front page, or more harm would follow. One letter contained a coded message that the sender claimed would reveal his identity. It was signed, "This is the Zodiac speaking." The ciphers were complex combinations of letters and symbols. Some seemed random. Others were eventually decoded, like the one solved by a schoolteacher and his wife. It described the writer's twisted mindset, but still offered no name. It was clear he was playing a game and staying ahead. As investigators worked to connect the clues, more letters came. Some included threats. One even arrived with a piece of a victim's shirt, offered as proof. The Zodiac claimed responsibility for 37 incidents, though only a few were officially confirmed. On September 27, 1969, college students Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard were spending time near Lake Berryessa when a masked man approached, saying he had escaped from prison. He then tied them up. Without warning, he attacked. Brian survived, but Cecilia passed away later from her injuries. The assailant left a message on their car door listing dates and locations connected to earlier cases. It was now clear he was marking his actions. Just 2 weeks later, in San Francisco's Presidio Heights, a taxi driver named Paul Stein was found after being attacked. At first, it seemed like a robbery, but another letter arrived claiming responsibility and included another piece of the victim's shirt. Eyewitnesses saw someone calmly leaving the area. A police sketch followed, showing a man with short hair and glasses. The Zodiac had struck again, this time in a busy neighborhood during daylight. Still, no arrest was ever made. Throughout the early 70s, the Zodiac continued sending letters. Some were long and rambling, others were short and cryptic. He mocked the police, teased new targets, and referenced pop culture. In one infamous letter, he declared, "I am waiting for a good movie about me. Who will play me? I am now in control of all things." The media fed into his ego. The public lived in fear. And then, silence. The letters slowed, then stopped. Sightings dried up. The Zodiac faded from the headlines, but never from memory. Dozens of suspects were investigated, none convicted. Arthur Lee Allen, a known felon, stood out. He owned a Zodiac watch, had experience with ciphers, and lived near several crime scenes. But DNA evidence and handwriting analysis never confirmed the link. In 2021, a group of investigators calling themselves the Case Breakers claimed the Zodiac was Gary Francis Post, a deceased Air Force veteran. They cited photographs, forensic evidence, and letters. But law enforcement remains unconvinced. The Zodiac Killer left behind more than victims. He left a nation haunted by questions. Who was he? Why did he stop? Was he ever really gone? The ciphers continue to baffle experts. Amateur sleuths on Reddit, YouTube, and podcasts dissect every detail. Hollywood adapted his tale into films, documentaries, and endless theories. But behind all the noise lies the chilling truth. One man, driven by ego and obsession, held one of the most advanced police systems in the world in the palm of his hand and walked away. The Zodiac case remains open in several jurisdictions. The FBI considers it one of the most infamous unsolved crimes in American history. So the next time you read about a cipher or see a strange symbol scratched on a tree, remember, the Zodiac may be gone. But the fear he created, that still lingers.